Our next speaker is Pranav Jindal, who is an assistant professor at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. Unfortunately, he's not Yale graduate, but he received his PhD in the University of Chicago. Then he was at Penn State University, and now he's at University of North Carolina. And he's also known as a kind of young rising star in the quantitative marketing and empirical modeler. And he's an expert in the bargaining and pricing and the consumer search. And today, again, like Ted, he's going to talk about some consumer search and the importance of consumers' belief in pricing. And thank you, Cesar, welcome.
Thank you, Jivon, thank you. Thank you very much for having me here. And thank you for the fantastic introduction. I already feel like I'm the black sheep over here because I did not go to Yale. So, but no, it is a pleasure being here. I'm really happy to present, to share my research, and thank you, Yale, for giving me this opportunity. This is joint work with Anocha Aribag, who's at Michigan Ross School of Business, and the general idea over here is we want to understand the role of price beliefs in search. Now, I think everybody understands that a lot of the decisions that we make are based on our beliefs about what would happen in the future, right? For example, I think everybody here has made decisions about investment in retirement plans, right? And this to me is the biggest black box because we don't know what will happen in the future. We have beliefs about how our life will unfold, and we're making decisions about investing today based on those beliefs, which will what will happen to us probably 30, 40 years down the line, right? This is one area. Anastasia this morning talked about fintech and how people budget and use their budget. That is based on your beliefs about spending, right? In marketing, we can think about how people search, and the search is driven by your beliefs about what prices exist in the market. So a lot of you book tickets, flight tickets to come over here, and when you're booking flight tickets, some of us might just go to one website and buy the tickets. Oftentimes, you're going to 3 or 4 different websites. If you're going on a vacation, you're thinking about a hotel, and you're looking at multiple hotels, and you're thinking about which website should I buy the hotel, or which website should I book the hotel at, right? So a lot of our decisions are based on beliefs. Unfortunately, these beliefs are not observed. If I'm a marketer and I'm trying to think how consumers make decisions, I can say they make decisions based on beliefs, but I don't observe those beliefs. So we make a lot of different assumptions about consumer behavior, and the objective of this paper is just to take a step back and say, okay, what if we had some information about beliefs? How can we use that information to gather some insight into how consumers make decisions, right? And we do it in a very specific context, which is that of search, right? Now again, everybody will agree with me that search is important. It has fundamentally changed how we purchase products. We don't know everything that is there in the market right now. So for almost everything that we purchase, we are searching, right? We are searching to know what product to buy. Even if we know what product to buy, we are searching for where to buy that product, right? So search is ubiquitous over here, and then consumers are searching to understand what product gives them the most value. Value over here could be understanding which product features resonate with me. Value could be in terms of understanding what price resonates with me, right? In today's talk, we'll focus just on prices. I'll not talk about, you could search for characteristics, you could search for which hotel is good, right? Where do I value, like does it have, I give the example fax machine, but that is kind of a little obsolete now, but we can talk about what characteristics or features of a hotel resonate with you. But today's talk, we'll just talk about price. We will assume you know the product that you're interested in, and you're just searching over the price of that product, right? I'll take a very, very fancy product over here for my research. The example that I'll take is that of a KitchenAid mixer. How many of you own a KitchenAid mixer over here? Okay, a lot of people, right? How many of you consider this like a fancy product? Well, a lot more than I thought. My research tends to be more with vanilla and mundane kind of products, like washing machines, for example. So for me, this is really fancy. What I have over here is what happens if you go to Overstock and search for this KitchenAid mixer, and you see this page. Importantly, you see a price over here of $329, right? You could purchase this product from Overstock, or you can go to another website search. So you can go to Macy's. Turns out at Macy's, the same product is available for $475, right? That's just two websites. We can go to Target. Target has the same product at a price of $280. You can go to Amazon. Amazon has the same product at a price of $279. I've shown you 4 different websites. I've shown you 4 different prices. Let's stop at Amazon. We're all familiar with Amazon. You see this price. What is your reaction?
Good value for money.
Good value for money? Right there. Any other reactions over here? Price goes up, right? So we have some reactions over here to prices. What I did was I went to the reviews over here and I took out some reviews that people had about the product. Of course, I'm only looking at reviews which talk about prices, right? So some of the reviews, I felt it was a good price. It seemed like every store is pushing this product, but there's a lot of variation. Prices varied by over $100. I gave this 4 stars because I got it almost for half the price. If I had to pay full market price, so there's this notion that there is some market price out there, a price which I would pay elsewhere, right? I would have given it 3 stars. Okay, I returned this to Amazon as I found the same model at a dramatically lower price at an outlet mall. So now the comparison is not only with Amazon, it is with an outlet mall. It's not only with Macy's or Target, it's with another physical brick and mortar store. And finally, the price was better than I found in my town locally, right? All of these are beliefs about prices in the market. And I say market because we have this notion of a price which exists out there. It is the price that I would pay if I go somewhere else. My decision of how much I search, or do I go to another website, or do I go to Macy's, or do I go to Target, is driven by my beliefs of what prices are out there, right? As marketers, we know nothing about these beliefs, right? Let me try and fix ideas. I'll think about the search process, I'll talk about the trade-offs, and then I'll take a toy example to kind of reinforce these things, right? Our decision to search is based on 2 different things. One, I said, is their belief. The other one is the cost of searching, right? Internet has reduced our search costs. Why? I'm on Target, I can go to Macy's.com, it takes me 2 minutes, I can search, I can get a price code. Back in the day when internet was not there, imagine standing at Macy's, looking at this KitchenAid mixer and saying, oh, I wonder what prices exist outside. Let me drive 20 minutes to the nearest Target, park the car, go into the store, ask somebody which aisle the KitchenAid mixer is, go to that aisle and see the price, right? You're expending a lot of effort. So there is a cost to that effort. There is a cost to that time that you're spending. I'll put all of that into one bucket. I'll say that is the search cost that you incur, right? On the flip side, we have some beliefs about prices, which we could pay, based on which there might be a benefit. Why? I expend some search cost, I expend 20 minutes of effort and time, but then I get a $100 lower price. Now, I'm not saying everybody will take that trade-off. Some people would take that trade-off because they feel that $100 is worth more than 20 minutes of their time. Other people might say, hey, you know what? It's not worth my time. I would rather pay $100 and save 20 minutes, right? So there are these trade-offs, the trade-offs that people are making. Importantly, a priori, there is no reason to believe that consumers know the true prices at all the stores in the market, or that they know how much price variation exists in the market, right? They just have some beliefs, and these beliefs could be different. So let's take a toy example over here. Imagine there are 3 consumers, right? Consumer 1, 2, 3. They're similar in their willingness to pay. You could take any product. You could say a jacket or whatever you like. Each of them is willing to pay $100 for this product. They won't pay anything more than $100. Search is costly. For them, it costs them $20 to search an extra store or an extra retailer, right? So the consumers are similar with regards to their willingness to pay and how much it costs them to make an incremental search. But they differ in the beliefs that they have about prices in the market. Specifically, consumer 1 believes that in the market, at the outside stores, the price is on average $60. Consumer 2 believes it is $70. Consumer 3 believes it is $30. Now you might argue that, hey, $30 is very different. Clearly the consumer is misinformed. That's possible. As a marketer, I want to know that the consumer is misinformed, right? The $30 is information to me that is valuable. So now how does decision making work for these people? How much price would a retailer charge consumer one if they were to sell this product to the consumer, right? So they believe that in the market, the price is $60. It costs the consumer $20 to search once more. The consumer is at your store. What price would you like to charge the consumer? You don't want that consumer to go elsewhere, right?
$79.
$79, right? How did we come up with 79?
20 plus 60, and then give them $1 discount.
Absolutely, right? So the idea over here is fairly simple. If I charge the consumer $79, the consumer will say, I can go to store B, that I'll have to pay $20 in search cost, and then I have to pay $60 for the price of the product. So if I go to another store, I will pay 60 plus 20, which is $80. So I, as a store, can say anything below 80 will make the consumer purchase from me. So we leave $1 with the consumer, let the consumer be happy, right? And charge $79. So if I could charge a price to this consumer, that would be 79. By the same argument, a price to this consumer would be 89, and the price to the third consumer would be 49. The problem, of course, is I, as a retailer, cannot say, Jim, you pay this much, Ted, you pay this much, right? I have to charge the same price. So now you have 3 candidate prices. What price should a retailer charge, or a firm? So if I'm just selling one product to 3 people, these are the 3 prices I could charge. I can charge only one price. Which one should I charge? Which price maximizes my revenue? If I charge $49, I sell to all 3, I make about $147. If I charge $89, I sell to only one person, I make $89. If I charge $79, I sell to 2 people, I make over $150, right? So for me, as a retailer, it is optimal to charge $79, sell to 2 people, so the first 2 guys are going to purchase, the third one's going to say, no, thank you, I'm going to another store and searching. Right? What does this tell me? The takeaway, the first takeaway I have over here is price beliefs and search costs together determine the price that a retailer would charge in the market. Right? So the prices that we see retailers set are based on how costly is it for consumers to search and the beliefs that they have about prices in the market. Right? That's the first takeaway. Now, let's take a step back and say, well, we do not have all of this information. I, as a marketer, do not know what beliefs consumers have, right? The only thing that I know is that I'm charging a price of $79, and I know on average the price in the market is $50. So what is the data that a marketer observes? The average price in the market is $50. The price that the firm charged was $79. 2 people purchased, 1 person did not purchase. Right? And if I believe that consumers knew that the price in the market was $50, what can I say about their search cost? Let's go back to consumer 1 over here. The consumer purchased at a price of $79, and we assume that the consumer knew that the average price in the market was $50. What can we say about the search cost of this consumer? It is greater than $29, right? Because if it was less than $29, the person would have said, I don't like the price of $79, I'll go elsewhere, buy it at $50, and pay a cost which is less than $29, right? But then because the person chose to purchase at a price of $79, it has to be true that the search cost for this guy is greater than $29. The same thing holds true for the second person, and for the third person, we can say that the search cost is less than $29 because that person did not purchase. Everybody with me on this? Over here, I have the actual search cost for these 3 people. Over here, I have the inferred search cost for these 3 people. Any differences? Yes. The problem here is if we do not know what beliefs consumers have, we make some assumptions about the beliefs and infer or back out their search cost, we will have biased estimates of search cost. Now let's take that estimate and feed it back into the first takeaway that we had. The first takeaway was that prices are determined by search costs and beliefs. So now if we use this data, we got some estimate of search cost, which is biased, and now we take this search cost estimate to do pricing, we will have biased optimal prices, or we will have incorrect prices, right? So in this research, our objective is to say, what are the price beliefs that consumers have? How much do consumers vary in their price beliefs? And if we have this information, what are the implications for the costs associated with search, and what are the implications for pricing? Now, we don't observe beliefs. Ideally, I would like to have data where you go to the store, I ask you what are your beliefs, and then I see you making purchases. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen. So I have to go back to the lab, and in the lab, I have to study how people form beliefs, how they update beliefs, and what are the implications for search and how they search, right? So the experiment over here, we are going to run a study, which is going to be with the KitchenAid mixer. Consumers are going to be put in an environment where they're searching for the price of the KitchenAid mixer, and they have trade-offs. They can search more because they could get a lower price, but then search is costly. They have to pay something out of their pocket to search. Or they could choose to buy, right? Depending on how much they search, the price that they eventually find is the price that they would pay. Now, of course, we can't make everybody buy a KitchenAid mixer. That's a $300 item. So we have some design characteristics over here in the experiment which make sure that people are being honest, and I'll give you some evidence of that, right? Importantly, before and after each search, we are asking them about their beliefs about prices. And I'll show you how we get at beliefs, right? Because it is very tricky to ask people about beliefs. If it's just about expected price, I can ask you, what do you think is the price in the market? You can say, I think it is $300. Are you 100% certain that the price is $300? You say, no, I have some uncertainty around it. How do I capture that uncertainty, right? You can say, well, I believe the price is $300, but I say, could the price be $250? Like, yes. Could it be $350? Yes. So you have some uncertainty. Our objective is to say, how do we capture that uncertainty, right? How do we go about it? This is the KitchenAid mixer, so we tell the consumer a lot, give them a lot of information about the KitchenAid mixer, and then we ask them a question about prices. So we ask them, imagine there are 100 retailers selling this KitchenAid mixer. How many retailers do you think have a price below $240? How many have a price below $280, below $320, below $360? And these price thresholds are customized for each individual, right? So it's not that everybody gets the same thresholds. Everybody gets different thresholds based on where they believe the prices are. But the key part over here is every consumer is telling me, or every individual is telling me, out of 100, how many retailers have a price below each of these thresholds, right? Now, when I think about prices, I think of like a distribution of prices. Right? We are all very familiar with the bell curve over here. So you could think of this as a distribution of prices, right? This being the lowest price, this being the highest price, and these four thresholds are the thresholds that I just showed you. And what I asked consumers over here is to tell me how many retailers out of 100 have a price below $240. Let's say this number over here is 15. How does that map onto this picture over here? This is the price of $240. There are 15 out of 100 who have a price less than $240, which means if 100 is this entire curve, there are 15 people in this area, right? Going back, for the price of $280, there are about 32 people. That would be this green area over here, right? Once I have this information, I can characterize the mean of this distribution, which is right here, this point, and I can say something about the uncertainty or how fat or thin the tails of this distribution are. Right? The idea there is simple. Consumers have some expectation about prices, and they have some uncertainty about prices. We are going to capture both of these through mean and variance. Right? Once I have this information, now I want to understand, given these beliefs, would you like to search or not? I show them the price. I say, given this price, do you want to search for this product, or do you want to purchase it at the current store? Right? Once they make their decision, I again ask them for their price beliefs, which is a task like this, to see whether they update their beliefs, right? How many times you're searching for something, you see a price of $300, and you say, oh, I thought this was cheaper. And then you recalibrate your expectations, right? We allow consumers to recalibrate their expectations. And then they recalibrate, and we again ask them, would you like to search more? We do this about 4 different times, right? It's very difficult. Think about the consumers over here. They're giving us a lot of responses in this, and we don't want to suffer from consumer fatigue. The study as it is right now took about 25 to 30 minutes for each consumer. We could make them do multiple searches, a lot more searches, but then we're just spending more time, and at some point we'll start getting garbage, right? So we did the study 4 times, and then with 300 people, we hired them from a nationally representative market research sample. We retained 281 people. Each consumer sees 4 scenarios. We get their price beliefs. As a marketer, as a researcher, the first thing I want to know is whether the data I'm collecting is good or is it garbage, right? Now, I can't really say whether the beliefs that you have are accurate or not, but I can say something about whether the data passes some sanity checks, right? For example, I look at the 4 thresholds, and I look at the probabilities on average, and I say, yeah, you know, these things are increasing, and in general, this looks like the beliefs that they would have. Okay, that's one. I can say, what happens to your price beliefs when you see a higher price? If you see a higher price, if you say, I'll search one more store, you see a price, that price is higher than your prior expectation, what should happen to your belief? Should it go up, or should it not change or go down? It should go up, right? That's what we find over here. We see this positive upward sloping line. This is the price you see, the belief, there is positive correlation. Right, what do beliefs look like? So we have 3 different distributions over here. The blue curve over here, or the blue distribution, is the true price distribution in the market. We went to about 300 different websites, scraped the prices for the same product, plotted that distribution. That is the blue curve over here. It looks like a nice normal distribution, bell-shaped curve. It doesn't have to be, right? But it looks like that. The green curve over here are the prior beliefs that people had. When they walked into the survey, I asked them, how much do you think this product costs in the market? They gave me a price. I took that price across all the people, and I created this green curve over here. This green curve doesn't look normal, right? It doesn't have to be a bell-shaped curve. Importantly, you can see people's beliefs are very different from the prices in the market, right? If you look at this curve, this chart to me is, I should look at this and I'd be like, wow, if I'm making inference based on this blue curve, I'm going to be wrong, because people have very different beliefs. Do people learn? They went through 4 tasks. We showed them 4 different prices. Every time they saw a price, they updated their belief. The red or pink curve over here is the updated belief that they have. Compare the green one and the red one. You see the red one is closer to the blue curve, and it's also a little thinner, right? So not only are people updating towards the truth, not only are they learning, but there's also less variance in their beliefs, right? So they're getting better at predicting prices. So this is great. We know now that there's a lot of heterogeneity in the beliefs that people have, right? We know that they learn in the search process. What are the implications for search cost? I can say, let's assume people have beliefs which are given by this green curve, which is the true beliefs people have. Or I can assume that people know the truth, which is the blue curve right over here. What are the implications for search cost? Again, there is a model behind this. We estimate that model. Model's rather boring. We don't have to go there. I like pictures. I have over here the distribution of search costs. Now, let me point this out, right? I really like TAT's talk for one reason. On one of the slides, there was one number which TAT had, which was $4 search costs. Where are those $4 search costs coming from? People in China. What data? Actual transactions data on Taobao. Where is my data coming from? People in a lab, American citizens. Any reason to believe that these 2 people would be the same? No, right? But turns out, if you look at this red curve over here, this red curve is what I want to focus on first. If you look at this red curve, you look at the peak over here, the peak over here is around $5 or $6. These are the search costs people have. Very different context than TAT's. Study done in a lab, oftentimes we ask ourselves, are these studies even valid? What is the credibility of these studies that we're doing? right? Why do we believe that these studies make sense? Well, you look at these numbers and you say, okay, there is some face validity here, right? So $4 or $5, this is the red curve. The blue curve over here is what we would have inferred if we assumed that everybody knew the correct distribution of prices. So you can already see that if we assume that everybody knew the correct price distribution, we would have very biased estimates of search cost, right? The red curve finally is the one where I believe, or I assume, that everybody has different expectations about prices, but they don't differ in the uncertainty. Right? Remember I mentioned uncertainty. I said it's not only about the expected price, but it is about how much uncertainty that you have. Turns out in this case, uncertainty does not matter. The only thing that matters are your beliefs about expected prices. Right? Once we account for that, we will get search cost. What are the implications for that? Well, again, sorry, I apologize, a lot of numbers over here. I want you to focus only on the blue ones, right? What I'm doing over here is once I have search cost, I say, what will happen to people in terms of how much do they search if search costs go down a little bit, right? Think about prices. As a marketer, we care about how sensitive are people to prices. What happens if I change price a little bit? What will happen to my demand? In the search context, the example would be if I change the search cost a little bit, that is, if I make it more easier for you to search, how much are you going to search, right? And turns out, if we take the beliefs that consumers gave us, we would see a 17% increase in the number of searches people make. But if we were to use this blue curve and assume people are good and they know the true price distribution, we would say they only see a 5% increase in search. So we underpredict how much people are going to search, or how much more people are going to search. What is the implication of that? If I'm a firm, and I say if I make it more easy for people to search, they're still not searching that much, what should I do? I should charge higher prices, right? That would be based on this blue number over here. The problem is I'm not accounting for the fact that people have different beliefs. In reality, if I make it easier to search, people are going to search a lot more, so I cannot increase my prices that much. Right? Now you would say, okay, this is great. I've told you something about beliefs. I've told you something about implications of beliefs, and I've told you something about search costs. What do we do next? Right? We don't observe beliefs. What do we do next? This is where our thought process is to get some data from the lab, get the beliefs, correlate those beliefs with demographics, which is what we're very good at, and then go after people based on demographics. Estimate their search costs based on demographics, based on things which we observe. That's what we do in targeting. That's what we do in pricing. Why can't we do all of that based on beliefs? Thank you very much. I have 1 minute for questions. Yes, sir.
Well, it's a wonderful presentation. My one concern is that you have taken only physical products. You have not talked about the services.
Absolutely.
Their prices has no value.
Sure.
Like I will go for an oil change to a distributor, I mean the dealer, rather than going to $7.99 or $10.99.
Sure.
And the another factor is value perceived, because human behavior is very complex to
Yes.
analyze.
Yes.
You think that people are always going through the statistics, where is the lowest price? And that's why the value perceived is another very big factor
Sure.
which you should consider in here.
Completely agree, completely agree. We have to start somewhere, right? This is the direction that we would love to go in,
Sure.
but we have to start somewhere. We get pushback. Do people think about beliefs like this? Right? People think about beliefs as, or prices as low, medium, high. Sure, people could think like that. Now tell me, how do I come up with numbers such as these based on low, medium, and high? Right, everybody here, we were talking about performance marketing yesterday. All of that is based on data. With low, medium, high, I cannot make normative predictions about how to price my products or how people would search. So we have to make some assumptions, but I agree that's the direction we'd like to go. Yes?
Really cool paper. Fascinated by it.
Thank you.
Have you thought about, so I've done a ton of in-market pricing research, and one of the really cool things that I get out of here is if you look at the similarities between some of your work, and if you think about some of the other pricing models out there, like the Van Westendorp model, looking at optimal price point.
Yes.
One of the in-market kind of learnings is the consumer perceived optimal price point is generally lower than what the actual in-market price point is for that product.
Sure.
And that lines up really, really well with what you're seeing here from a different model perspective. So here's the question to you is, the implication of this to us as marketers is the actual price point versus the perceived optimal price point. Isn't our job as marketers to build brand equity and build brand-based consumer demand for a product to overcome that perceived gap?
Sure. So if I understand your question correctly, right? As marketers, we are creating value, right? We are creating value, but then the reason why we are creating value is because we want to extract that value, right? And the extracting that value comes through price. And what we are trying to study over here is, how do beliefs that consumers have impact that price that I would charge, right? So we are abstracting away from value over here because we're taking a fixed product. I said KitchenAid mixer. The product is already there. You get some value from it, right? We can market that product that might change your beliefs. And because beliefs change, I can change the price. So I can change some of that, but the specific context that we're looking at is just how do these beliefs affect prices. Now, to your earlier point about do optimal prices have to be lower than the true prices, I mean, I think it's great that we have that finding, but more generally, I feel this is an empirical question. There is no reason to believe that consumers' beliefs will always be lower than the true optimal, right? They could be higher as well, but that's an empirical question. So, yes, Michelle.
Terrific research. What is the belief structure or the belief distribution in the relevant population? Here you bring people into the lab, right, and then they have no idea. But as that's described, in fact, in the real world, a lot of people do surgery they don't complete, which means that presumably the distribution of beliefs is going to be closer to the optimal one, right? And so maybe the gap between the assumed distribution that people have in the relevant markets and the true distribution is not as big as what you observe here in your research.
Sure. So this goes to a bigger question about what stage of the search are we capturing, right? If people have already searched 4 times, this is the belief distribution, which we can see is much closer to the truth. If people have not searched even once, they're just beginning the search, this is the belief distribution. Think about it, you want to buy a camera, right? Well, people don't buy cameras anymore, we just buy phones, but imagine you want to buy a camera. We start out, we have no clue about what camera I want. Right, I want an SLR camera, sure. What do I want? I don't know. I start searching. The more I search, the better I get at predicting what is out there in the market, what is it that I want, and what is the price distribution. So we're moving from this green curve to the red curve. What we're capturing in this paper is that journey from green to red, right? But you can also say, well, once you're at red, now how does your belief change and how do you search? That's a separate paper, right? Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.